Hey there, and welcome back to Local Marketing Secrets. I'm your host, Danny Leibrandt, and today I'm with Joe Crisara. If you don't already know Joe, he's known as America's Service Sales Coach and the creator of the Pure Motive Service System. Joe has helped thousands of contractors go from scraping by to running thriving, high ticket businesses by transforming how they sell and serve. He's the founder of Service MVP, author of the best selling book, What Should We Do? And one of the most respected voices in the home services industry. Now, in this episode, we dig into how local service businesses can confidently raise prices, create options that convert, and build trust that turns customers into lifelong fans. So if you want to turn your sales process into a marketing advantage, this one's for you. Now, without further ado, Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, Danny, thanks for inviting me here. Definitely, I want to say thanks to you for the effort you make to help home service professionals, including your own family. It sounds like your parents and your family is a service family, and it's an honor to be here with you. And I didn't know we also shared a similar geographical location from back when I was younger. So definitely, I'm excited to be here, Dan.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you. No, and that's so funny. It's such a small world. We're actually from a very similar area. You've gone to a lot of the restaurants in my area in Glenview. You're in Mundelein, northern Chicago suburbs. So crazy, such a small world, and so good to have you here. Yeah, talk to me more about your background. How did you initially get into the trades in this whole world?
I grew up, my dad was a plumber and his dad was a plumber and his grandfather was a plumber. So basically, it goes back a full lot of generations of people in the plumbing industry. And they were in Melrose Park, Illinois, not too far from where you're at.
Mhm.
And so my dad, he was, he told me, got me started, and I became a journeyman plumber, and eventually got my license and that. And then I also got involved with HVAC because he decided that he said, you should just get, you should do something different that's going to be more like the future. He didn't think plumbing was a good future. So he got me involved with HVAC. He said, it'll be a little easier on your knees and stuff like that. And he was right. It is a little, but it's not easier in the attic or any of that part of it there. So no matter what trade you're in, I realized electricians, HVAC guys, whatever you do, it's one of the hardest things that people grind out every single day, just so all of us can live a normal life. That things we expect to have at our fingertips, those providers like your father and your mother and people like that in your family, Danny and my family, have just done for years. And so I married a woman that was urging me to start my own business back in the early '80s. That was really, I honestly would have just been happy being an employee, but then she pushed me into it, and I really didn't know how to run a business. It seemed pretty like a simple concept, so I was all gung ho about 1985. Wound up driving myself about $500,000. I think it was $471,000 exactly in debt. And back then, 471,000. When my average ticket was about $92, or my average sale for equipment, like a water heater, was like $350 I was charging, and furnace and AC was like $1,542. So there's just no way I would have got out of debt until I met one of my clients who kind of took pity on me, and he saw me. He was in Gurnee, Illinois, and his name was Dave. And Dave said that he's a pharmaceutical salesperson. And he said, Joe, let me go over how you should offer your solutions. And so the core thing that he taught me when I was 1991, about $471,000 in debt. By December of 1994, I was debt free. And then when I went to go pay off all my suppliers, because I had the money out of debt, they were all telling me, you should go to work you should go help my other clients get out of debt. So I started single handedly at the suggestion of my suppliers. They would give me the names, and they would give me a few like starting money. They'd give me like $1,500 to go help this guy get out of debt or whatever. And it turned into a business of its own. And so I sold my service business, which had been very successful now at this point, with over 25% net profit after taxes. By the time the 1994 came around, and I sold it in 2001 to one of the biggest companies now in Illinois, which is ABC Plumbing. Bought the company, and so they went on to now be a huge company. They got investment money and things like that too, and they still use our system, or a part of the system that we brought there when they bought me. And and I'm kind of like Forrest Gump. I've been around with a lot of big companies, small companies that turn to big ones, and big companies, small company. I'm working with a single person company in Alabama. The guy doesn't even read books. So, I mean, it's a, it's a whole, I just try to help people with whatever their level of skill is or the way they like to learn. I've learned to kind of shift the way I like to learn, which is just doing it, not just learning, reading it. I wasn't much of a reader either when I was younger, but then I started reading more of it. But so that's what I do today. I just have a whole business that teaches people the same thing that Dave taught me to get out of debt. And if you're not out of debt, it makes it more successful than ever. And if you are in debt, then it can definitely help you turn that corner and move the right direction. Make sense?
Yeah. No, you definitely have an incredible story, and you are a total industry veteran. I mean, you've been in it for so long. I feel like everybody knows you. I just want to get clear on the debt part because I feel like this is so fascinating. I just want to dive in a little bit more. How did you get into 500K worth of debt? How does that happen?
Well, uh, dysfunctional situations like that, it loves secrecy and privacy. So honestly, publicly, you never would have known I was in debt but one of my clients could see it. He knew the earmarks. Because he went through it himself. He told me, and I think when somebody has been through it before, you can see it in real. You can kind of see the earmarks of it. Today, if I go to a place, I went to a place that was a pretty successful company. They were doing about $20 million, and they took me for a tour of the company, and they said, "What do you think of the company?" I said, "Well, it looks pretty good, but it sounds like you're not making any money. Like, what's your net profit? Like 3%?" And they go, "How'd you know that?" That's exactly what a net profit is. And I said, "Well, that's because I can see that the guys, the uniform pants are got holes in the pants and nobody's fixing it, or your trucks don't have signage. You got magnets instead of signage. You got."
Mm,
I said, your parking lot's not even paved." I said, "So you can see things that are just hidden in plain sight." And, I got into debt because I was too afraid to collect the money. I would do work for people thinking that when I finished the job, I would get paid. Well, I had a couple really big jobs. One was a $87,000 job in Lake Bluff, Illinois. Another job was in not too far from you in Highland Park, Illinois, and big projects over $100,000 there. And I thought I just trusted I would get paid. I did all the work. I got all the equipment. I did all the duct work and the plumbing and everything. And wound up with the builder went bankrupt and then claimed he couldn't pay me. And there I had bad debt. So I had probably just those two jobs alone were almost $200,000. But honestly, I had a lot of receivables at the time because I did not understand that clients would be happy to pay if you just requested the payment before you began the work. So
mm,
I turn now to all the service providers, say stop doing the work without collecting your money. I say it's I have 100. I now have a new payment program for all contractors. It's 100% down, nothing left to pay when you're finished. That's the best the best way
yeah.
to do it. And as opposed to doing the work first and then people try to negotiate the payment later. That's not, you can't sustain that way of doing it. So because of my fear that I would lose the job if I tried to collect the money up front, that's how I got into debt. Honestly, I was too weak. I didn't understand how the science of pricing and the science of collection, there's a whole science behind every one of those things. Danny, does that make sense, sir?
Mm. It does. Yeah, talk to me about the science of pricing, and that's what should you shoot for in terms of profit margins?
Well, I think first of all, the first step is to make the menu of your pricing. If you only come to the client, like you mentioned somebody in your business, your house is a carpet cleaner, for instance, or something like that. If somebody says, "Hey, we need to get that stain out of the entryway carpet over here." And of course, if you cleaned only that carpet, the rest of the house would have dirty carpet. I don't realize if
Mhm.
I clean this spot, the rest of the house will look awful compared to this clean carpet here. So you'd say, well, the premium option would be let me clean every room in the house. The next option would be let me do the living room, dining room, and the entryway. Then let's just do the living room and the entryway, and then just the entryway. Like if I was doing it that way, it makes sense. If you were doing pest control, it's like, yeah, we could get rid of that ant infestation, the bottom option, but we also could take care of the wasps and things like that to make sure we do something with that. And then we can do a perimeter thing, not just the spot problem, but a continuation of the solution to make sure that we take care of the insects, the rodents, and everything else like that. So there's things you can do that extend the services. So the premium option would be a permanent solution for everything. The mid-range solution would be a professional solution that expands beyond what you asked me for. And the bottom option is just the thing you asked me for. So you only asked me for to fix a faucet. Well, that's to fix the faucet. Then we could replace the faucet would be better. Replace the faucet with a better faucet and do the risers and shutoff valves. And then we could do faucets in the laundry room and the powder room. And then the faucets in the kitchen, laundry room, powder room, and master bathroom. So you start to see how all the faucets would get replaced with the risers and shutoffs on the premium option. The bottom option, just put a cartridge in the old faucet like you want me to, and let customers choose for themselves with the famous question at the end of it. Well, here's all the prices. What should we do? And that's what we have trademarked that and wrote a book with that title. And, what should we do is the question we ask to close the deal. Makes sense? And so if somebody says, well, that's a lot of money. I say, yeah, it is a high investment. So what should we do? I got to think about it. I got to think about it. We'll take all the time you want. I'll stay right here. What should we do? Like, what I'm saying? There's like the what should we do? Every business, including yours, Danny, when you're doing your SEO and things like you could say, well, here's the things I can do. What should we do? Type of thing. So
Okay. Yeah, no, I know this is
so,
definitely a
like I'm pretty sure people come to you with like, I just want SEO. But you look at the website, you're like, that website needs to get updated too, or whatever, or the branding they need to get done or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or so, there's more than just the one problem people bring you. And so your job as a professional to say, here's how the whole thing would work. Whether it's SEO, whether it's plumbing, it's a service that you as a professional know, Danny, what's the best way that's going to work the best. We got to update the branding, we got to update the website, we got to get your social media, all that stuff is part of SEO. It's not, you can't just pick out SEO only. And so it's the same thing that with every trade, it has the same thing, whether it's tire repair, whether it's plumbing, heating and air conditioning or whatever. And so if you did that, here's the science behind it. You ask the science. 15% would choose the top options, 74% would choose the middle options, and only 11% would choose the bottom. So you'd wind up upgrading about 80 to 89% of the time if you did that. And without having to sell it, without having to push it or recommend it, you just say, here's the premium way where it's permanent and it's done the right way. Here's the professional way. We take care of most of everything. We expand a little bit more than you asked us for. And here's the bottom option where you just do it the way you want to do it. And that's the way it has less warranty, less coverage, less whatever on the bottom option. We stand behind it more on the middle option, and we stand behind it permanently on the top option. Does that make sense? Like there's just more permanency in the top. It's permanent, it's high quality, it's safer, it's healthier, all the rest of it. That's called pure motive service, by the way. Pure motive service is identifying what does the top option represent. That's the higher purpose, Dan. Does that make sense? It can't just be like when I mention all that stuff, I didn't even bring up money, honestly. So getting the pricing right isn't as important as putting the price in the right order. Premium, mid-range, and economy prices, stacking up the current prices you already have into a more premium solution to do more of your service would be what you need to do first. Secondly, once you do sell more, you'll come in touch with the fact that we don't charge enough. Like I can't say that's permanent for that kind of money. Well, then charge more. And it's like, okay. So there's a sense we get. Like if I said, Danny, charge enough where the SEO, the website and stuff like that would be a 10-year guarantee that I'll come back and update this thing for 10 years. It's like, could you do that for 5,000? Hell no. I'd have to charge like 50,000 for all that or 100,000 for all that if it was a 10-year warranty on it or whatever. Does that make sense? So if I said you got to stand behind that website, the SEO, the social media and everything for 10 years, then I'd say come up with a number you're comfortable with, Dan. And it probably wouldn't be 5,000 or whatever it would be.
yeah.
Unless you follow me on that. And it's like, now saying you're like, that'd be 150,000, Joe. And I said, well, that's your price for that kind of an option. So no matter what kind of business it is, a pet care business, you name it, any service that you do for, you said your mom does helping the people who are disabled or whatever, right? And things like that. You mentioned.
Mental health. So that's just
Mental
any
health.
kind of
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a more premium way of doing that, right? And she could provide that too. So it's every business is like that. So get the pricing structure right, premium mid-range economy, and then you'll start to realize that I can't make it permanent for that price. And that kind of makes you understand that I need to raise the price, because you'll start to saying, I can't commit to all that warranty and service. Like Joe's saying, like, I can't do that. Well, of course not,
Mhm.
not for the price you're currently charging. So that would make you have to raise the price to be able to cover it for a longer, like on a furnace and AC. If I said I'm covering it for 12 years and you can't write a check for anything, even if lightning strikes it, like, holy shit, I have to charge like 7,000 for that. I said, there you go. That's your number, so charge more, because that's the thing about it. So, well, I would say money's not my master though. I try to get the service down first and the way I'm going to present it. And then I try to figure out if I can do it for that price. That's the second element of it, Danny. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. Okay, there's a lot to gather there. One part is that it seems like there's kind of a bell curve distribution of most people are going to be in the middle, but you still should have some of those outside services for people that might just want like a one-time kind of, cheaper option. And there will be people for that premium option. So you want to make sure that no matter what business it is, whether it's my SEO agency or whether it's a home service agency or sorry, home service company that might be, HVAC, roofing, whatever, that they need to make sure that they're providing a premium option because just based on statistics and what you said that about 15% of people are going to want that premium option. So if your typical ticket, let's say a typical pest control package might be $100 a month, but someone, maybe they're super rich or they really care about pests, whatever it is, and they want to get on the $1,000 a month, then, why wouldn't you provide that? So that makes complete sense.
And it's like, some people have it's more important to some people,
Mhm.
the pest control element of it. If that's what you are, a pest control business. There are some people who have a greater fear of the different kinds of pests.
Yeah.
Some people have some people have normalized pests in their home, like, it's just another cockroach, and other
Yeah.
people are like, cockroach, oh my God. Like, so it's like there's different people and there's different the people have normalized a different way of living, right? And so
Mm.
there's the one guy who finds one cockroach, he'll pay 1,000 a month to get it fixed. Another guy who would be just get rid of this. The cockroach. I'm good with the cockroaches. Just get rid of the ants. Those are killing me. Whatever it would be. So, so you got to have something for that person. The cheapest thing you could do, and then you have the better one that takes care of this and that. And of course, if you're a pest control company, you would know that business more than anybody, and you know what kind of pests would bother people more than others. And how can I do it more frequently would be another way of doing it. How could I do it more permanently? So I come back, do it before the season that would happen or after the season. However you're going to do it, more immediate control. Like if you call me a service agreement that if you called me between the treatments, I'd be out here immediately to take care of that problem and mitigate that problem immediately. I call VIP service there. Now that would cost more money if I said you could do that anytime you want, right? So you'd have to charge more to make sure that you could respond whenever the client wanted you to. Make sense? So the bottom line is that when people say you can't do that kind of service, this guy doesn't know pest control, and I'd say, well, I do know pest control from a consumer's point of view, and so I definitely would pay anything not to have pests in my. If I saw
Yeah.
one cockroach in this house, I'd be like, holy shit, let's stop the house. We got to move out until that gets solved. I don't want, I can't even have one cockroach in my house. You know what I'm saying here? So the bottom line is that everybody's got different, and that's something you could do too. You could put people up in a hotel. That could be a service they would do. And while we take care of the mitigation of these pests, and I've seen pest control where they have the whole tent over the house and do that kind of a solution. Of course, you could put people in, instead of telling them go to a hotel or go somewhere else, you'd say, well, I'm going to put you in a hotel for a week or whatever kind of a thing and include that with the service. Does that make sense there, Dan?
Yeah, no, 100%. So it's all about solving people's problems. And some people are going to want to have the entirety of the problem solved, which is obviously going to cost much more than just one component. So absolutely love
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just don't hold back and don't, because that's what I was doing. I was only doing the cheapest thing I could do. But when I was in debt, based on the average invoices you could see, I was really just kind of MacGyvering everything and just fixing what was already there. I wasn't even replacing the parts. I would just fix the part, back in the old days. That's how it
Yeah.
used to be.
Definitely. Earlier, you mentioned your book. What should we do? Can you talk about that book and kind of what's the concept? You talked about it a little bit, but let's go deep on there.
Well, it goes over. I think when people read the book, there's a lot of familiarity to what they are already going through now. So what you're going to read is like, oh my God, that guy sounds just like me. Like that's exactly what I did wrong. I'm doing it now like that way, you know? So there's a lot of people who have discovered it. We have over 100,000, I think 128,000 copies of the between audiobooks on Amazon and Audible and Amazon book sales. And there's been a lot of people who have, it's changed their life because it's 430 pages. We're not talking about a light duty walk around the park. It's on the audio, it's 9.5 hours. It's a lot of content. And so if you get the book, be prepared to change your life because it's going to tell you specifically how do you make a friend with a client? Like you think you already know how to make a friend, but you might be doing it just a little wrong. How do you diagnose the whole system, not just the one problem, but how do you stop the problem completely? How do you take care of the client service to make sure that they don't have to do anything? Uh, and it goes over the whole customer service experience, but there is mixed in there, Danny, a lot of stories about the things I did wrong as well. And then there's the stories about how it got right. But there is built in there that the science behind everything, the science of connecting, the science of diagnosing, the science of creating the prices, the science of service agreements and warranties, the science. So it really has it's like a manual about like personal therapy in a way because I can see that somebody else has gone through this and I know I can succeed. And then there's an element of the science element where how do I get this stuff done now? That's why the book is so thick because it's like really three books in one. One is
Mm.
like looking at yourself and seeing why do I think this way. Two, here's the things we have to do to make it better. And three, scripts and things like that so you can actually do it, but implement it in place. Make sense?
Awesome. Okay, so people should definitely go read that book. Basically, everything you need to know regarding sales, all the mistakes you've made, growing several companies. Um, I want to
Yeah,
pivot a little bit
if you
here.
go to if they go to servicemvp.com, you can get the free get the free audiobook. I'll give it to you for free. Just
Oh,
go to servicemvp.com and the audiobook I just thought you have to download the Service MVP app and you can get it for free, honestly. So
awesome. Okay, so everyone should go there. That link will also be in the description. Um, Joe, now talk to me about your three keys to sales. So you kind of have your three C's. Can you talk about those, how you came up with that, and why it's important?
one more time about the three C's or which one?
Yeah, yeah. So you have it's at least what I have here. This could be wrong. Character,
Okay.
confidence, and communication.
Okay, that's good. Sometimes I have the four B's and I have the three C's.
Yeah,
That's
that's
fine.
okay.
Hey, good. I try and keep track of my material, what I got there. Well, character means that when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So if you do read the book, character means that I'm going to read the book, and I'm going to take the lessons and put them into place, and you actually do it because this world, Danny, is filled with people who say they're going to do something, but never actually do it, and that's bad character. So don't read a book like that, or don't say to Danny you need to hire him to do your website, but then don't give him the material he needs, or don't give him access to your team or whatever he needs. You have to follow through, and character means that yeah, I'll help you with this, and then you don't help in a way. It makes sense, or you don't implement the thing. There's no service that's ever done that if you don't implement the service, there's no value if you don't implement pest control or whatever it is that you're going to do, right? So number one is
Mhm.
character. So let's make sure that the end result, the objective is to use the service. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I'm going to do it for you. That's character. Character means do what you say you're going to do. Two, competence is that you're going to learn it and understand the science behind it, and you're going to practice it and make sure that you. I say five, five, and five. Competence is gained by reading something or listening to it 5 times and then trying it 5 times just by yourself and then trying it 5 times with the public. And now you're getting your feet under you as to how you're going to put in competence. Competence is repetition, honestly, and then you got to commit to that repetition. And then finally, communication, which is for every person who loses their job, Danny, Harvard University did a study that said for every person who loses their job because they're not good at the work they do, if you're not good at SEO or if you're not good at pest control, for everybody who loses the job because they're not good at it, there's 8 people who lose their job because they can't communicate value, whether they're communicating to the internal employees or to the external customers. If you can't communicate value in your job, you're going to wind up getting fired or you're going to wind up not getting work. Make sense? So, if you look at the unemployment situation or people who seem like they just never can find a job, they're just not good at creating value. They're not good at seeing the value they provide. They don't believe in themselves. They're not competent. They say they're going to get a job, but they never look for one. Those are character issues. You kind of saying that, so you can see not just in sales, but in life. There's people who have poor character. Oh yeah, I got to get a job. You've been saying that for 2 years, John.
Hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, I'll get one pretty soon. What are you doing right now to get one? Nothing. At
Yeah.
least you're not. So you're not doing it. You're not. That's bad character. Makes sense. Now,
Yeah.
now you got to, practice. How am I going to get this job? Look into it and study it. Figure out the science. Honestly, anybody could get a job in 20 seconds if you just knew what to say to somebody to create value, and you have to practice it so you believe in it. And number 3, is put it in place and communicate it. That's the thing you got to do. So, I really feel that it's not just a key to service, but I think it's a key to a life that's well lived. Honestly, you know.
Awesome. So you have to learn how to create value and then be able to communicate it. Awesome. Something I want to ask you, which this is kind of general, but I feel like this would be useful. That let's say you were to step into the average home service business. But maybe let's start with like a company maybe doing 500K to $1 million a year. What
Mhm.
are some of like the top problems that they're dealing with, and what would you do to fix them?
Um, I think a lot of the biggest problems are the same problems that I had when I was losing money, which is that I'd go out there and give people advice about how to do something, literally teach them how to do my job, and then the value then decreases. Does that make sense? Like if I tell you how to, if I told you how to if I was a plumber and I said, "Well, you need to get yourself a new P-trap and go out and get a faucet and here, just go get a wrench." And I told you how to do plumbing. Like I think the average service provider talks too much about how to do their work, and then in a way you're giving the client like, "Yeah, maybe I could do this myself or whatever." And so whenever the plumber or air conditioning guy or pest control guy starts talking to the client, and they literally talk their way out of a job because they are giving people too much advice about if you're a pest control, giving too much advice about the kind of chemicals you're going to use or about the methods you're going to use, or you're giving too much detail on your service. And that decreases the value of the service because now the client's like, whoa, I think I could probably do that. I mean, just go buy that chemical he's doing and let me go on Amazon and see if I can find some of that stuff. And next thing you know, you talked your way out of a job. So that's the number one thing I think they do wrong. So I would advise shut up when you're diagnosing the situation. Just talk about the family or the people who live in the home. Don't talk about your solution yet. Just say, let me take a look at things. And as you're looking, shut up when you're looking. Don't give people an education while you're looking. Now, after you found the problems, whatever it is, plumbing problems or drain problems or HVAC or electrical or pest control problem, whatever the scope of the
Mhm.
problem is, shut up about it and then write it down. And now you got a scope of the problems, right? So write down the problems and write down the solutions, the premium mid-range economy solutions, because the second mistake is that people always give the cheapest option, thinking that they have to compete on price with competitors, but you don't have to compete on price. You have to compete on service. Service, Danny, is the knife that cuts through the fog of uncertain value. I'll say it one more time. Service is the knife that cuts through the fog of uncertain value. So
Mhm.
when people are looking at prices, but they see somebody who's got a much better service, then all of a sudden, they understand the price is gonna be higher. It's like when you walk into a hotel, like, okay, if you walked into a Motel 6, you wouldn't even be inside, you'd be out, it's not even a lobby. You're like, "Man, this can't be right." it can't be very much for this place, right?
Hmm.
Now you walk into the courtyard by Marriott, it's like, oh, look at, they got a nice lobby and a little gift store over here. It's gonna be a little bit. I can see that's going to be more money than the one where there's not even a lobby. And then I walk into like the Westin Hotel downtown Chicago or the Swiss Hotel around the River North over there, and it's like, holy shit, look at this
Yeah.
lobby. This is going to be so. The way the service provider has already done more service by making a bigger lobby, making a bigger gift store, a coffee shop, whatever they provide. You got a barista. They have a Starbucks inside the lobby. That's going to be more money than a people who don't have a Starbucks in the lobby, or a person doesn't even have a coffee machine. It's just sitting outside the Motel 6. It's interesting.
Mhm.
You could go to the River North. When I was at the Swiss Hotel, which is one of the best hotels in Chicago, it's a triangular tower there right on River North. And you look across the river, you can literally see the Motel 6 right on the other side of the river. And it's
Yeah.
interesting, those two things, like they're both on the river, but I do know that this room costs about $900 when I was at the Swiss Hotel. And that room, I saw the sign, it said $69 or whatever. So it's interesting that the same location and the same service, one could be $900, the whole thing's full, and the other one says $69 and the doors are wide open. It's like, yeah, we always got a room for you, right?
Yeah.
So the cheaper things, honestly, usually have a higher capacity. You could do more of it. They're for more of the bigger crowd. The more premium options are more fewer for fewer people, but they are more profitable because you don't have to serve 1,000 people. You could serve 200 people, and you'd be making more money on less effort. Because I think the American dream is really plain. It's how can I do as little as possible for work and still make as much money as possible. That's really the American dream is really surrounding that. Make as much as you can for the least amount of effort possible. And listen, nobody is afraid to work. Like I'm not afraid to work either. But I would say you only got so much mileage in the tank, so make sure that you choose the work you do wisely, so you can enjoy the work you do and you have passion behind it. Because if you do too much of it, you're going to lose the passion behind it. Make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
That was a
Something
mouthful.
else I wanted to talk about is specifically regarding sales. So I know you have a huge sales background. You've closed a lot of big deals, and you've also helped other people close big deals. How do you, like, for someone that's never closed a big deal before, over like 10K? How do you go about that? How do you make sure that you close these high ticket deals?
It's ironically, you have to say to yourself, money's not my master. I'm not going to focus on the money. Only focus on the solution and let the money take care of itself. Now, if you think the money is too much and it's like, no way somebody's going to spend that much, then try to do a thing with financing or something where you can help people find the money more easily. It makes sense. Or break it down and give them the whole price for the project, but then maybe break the project down to smaller sections so people can afford it. That's what I would say if you're trying to find a way where you feel better about it. But honestly, what I can teach you right now is that salespeople who focus on how much money something is are the ones who are going to lose the job. You're focused on the wrong thing. You have to focus on the consumer or the client. You have to know everything about them, so you can make a more customized, relevant solution that serves their exact needs. Makes sense. Now, if you do that, that's customer service. If I don't do that, I have no service. I just have a commodity like the parts I sell. Or if I'm a pest control person, I'm not selling chemicals, honestly. Because if I was just being a chemical salesman, I wouldn't need me. We just sell you the chemicals, right? So stop focusing on the parts or the materials or the chemicals in the case of pest control. Focus on the service you offer, and who in the family is the most afraid of these kind of insects. So it would be, for instance, or how does this impact your life in a negative way? Where does it happen? Like we would think if we're not customized, it could be on the deck. My grandmother comes over and she's afraid of whatever kind of insect, and you'd be like, man, we can't have any problems on that deck, so we got to make sure we take care of that area. So we got to really deep dive into that area to make sure we mention to the client, yeah, we're going to put extra attention on the back patio where you have that stone patio. So your grandmother doesn't be afraid. She's not afraid when she comes to visit you. That would be a much better approach when you're selling a big ticket, like if you're trying to sell something that's going to be a commercial project of some sort, or even a big home where like a furnace and AC, the average people who sell furnaces and ACs with our thing is about 28 to 32,000. The average person in general sells it for about 8,000, so basically the difference is there's more stuff we take care of. We do the duct work, the AC, the heating, the air quality, the control system. So you're doing more stuff for people, but every one of those things have to be more personalized and customized to the people. Because if you're only doing it to stack up the bill higher, nobody's going to buy it. Make sense? So anything where you sell premium solutions have to be more personalized solutions as well. So the more personal you make the problem and the more personalized you make the solution, the higher people will pay to solve the problem and purchase that solution. Make sense?
Hmm, that's really good. And then
This way
what
you're
is the
not
balance?
focused on this way you're not focusing on money. You're just focusing on the problem and how it's impacting them personally, and the solution, how that's going to personally impact them too. And this way, the money just is a byproduct of getting the job done. It's not something that we're focusing on primarily. So, ironically, most customers say, "What's it going to cost?" That's the first thing they wonder. So, you know what? Let's go into the problems and the solutions, then we can see what it's going to cost later. That's another pro tip. Don't talk about money in the front end. Talk about problems and solutions in the front end, and then show the money at the end. Make sense,
Hmm,
there, Dan?
yeah, no, and that also seems more fulfilling as well. Like I don't like purely focusing on money and just how can I stack up more retainers, but it feels good. It feels fulfilling when I'm helping a lot of people. A lot of different people have different problems. My agency is different than your company or another service-based business, but it feels really good to help people. But then, like you said, the money is just a byproduct.
It's just something that's needed to make sure there's a financial reality, to make sure I have the right manpower, the right materials, the right safety. If I'm a pest guy, I have to do things and make sure I take care of and make sure it's safe for people. There's things that that's called pure motives: quality, reliability, safety, and health, customer service to know the people, customized, relevant to make sure it's personalized, and then honesty, even when it's not popular. That's what I call pure motive service, and that's what we teach. Which, if you focus on pure motive service, then the money will come to you in droves because you're not focused on making money. Money comes to people who do excellent service above and beyond. Put it that way.
Hmm, I definitely agree. Um, I've got a quote here that I'd like to read you. This is something that you said and you say repeatedly. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this and kind of expand on it if you could. Um, so something you said before is don't sell to make money, sell to liberate your customer. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think I think when service providers uh, put their customers in a prison, if you will, is that when they've decided for you, like, here is a solution that I'm going to give you only, as opposed to give people the freedom to choose premium, mid-range, or economy solutions of your own. It's like, and even if somebody asked me, like, Joe, which one would you recommend that I purchase? I would say, well, John, my job is to find the problems and how they affect your family, and find the solutions and how those affect your family. And then your job is to pick the one that's right for you. That's your job. I can only make the more permanent, premium, high quality, and best service solution, the mid range one, which is very professional and has a lot more service too. And then the bottom one, which is what you asked me for. Now, if you want to get what you asked me for, that's the bottom option. You want to get something better than you asked me for, that's the mid range and the premium. So you're free to choose the one that's right for your family. So the word freedom, which is what really every country in the entire world has the belief that they are. Even people in countries that we don't think are free. And there's a question as to whether people feel like the United States of America still has freedom, right? There's still an element of freedom that's being questioned here. So losing freedom is honestly something nobody wants in any culture of any kind. Having more freedom to choose, or liberating people to have freedom, then I think that's really what you look at. So I got to give my customer the freedom to choose what's right for them. That's really it. You can even tell customers that, Danny, I'm here to give you the freedom to choose what's right for you. Even if it's not me, you can always choose the one that's right for you. Does that make sense? And I'll be fine. I'll still be your friend if you choose somebody else beside me. I'm fine with that. So if you say, I don't care if I get the job, I want to make sure I give you freedom to choose instead. They ironically will choose you about 95% of the time because
Yeah.
I
Okay.
get,
So you want to give them optionality. You don't want to push them. That makes sense. Talk to me
yeah,
about.
I think that's part of it. I think the optionality part of it is the thing that is at the heart of freedom, right? If we don't give
Mhm.
that, which one are you choosing? The premium one where you just oversell everybody, the economy one where you don't make enough money, you can't stay in business. So you know what I'm saying there? You have to give people all the choices. I believe that the universe rewards people who give freedom to other people. That's what I look at it
Mm.
like.
That's really good. Yeah, no, that also ties into things of like, oh, well, you have to buy today, you have to buy right now, all those kind of guarantees that people will give and try to provide or make scarcity or urgency. So yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, those things can be good in theory, but at the end of the day, basically like what you're saying is being as honest, as upfront as possible, giving them options, providing that freedom. I think that's huge. So that's great.
It doesn't, it's not, and just by way, it's not always popular, when that's why I say honesty and giving people that freedom. Sometimes you got to drag customers kicking and screaming there. They're like, I just want to get that one problem fixed. And it's like, you're going to get that if you want it. But I'm also going to give you other things too, whether you want it or not. I'm going to show it to you. So even if people don't want that, it's like going to a car wash. You don't tell the guy, I don't want to see the other car washes. I want to get the basic wash. It's like you just you don't even mention it. You just choose the basic wash. Well, you don't bitch at the guy at the car wash. Or if you can see a menu at a restaurant, why did you put filet mignon on the menu? I don't want filet. It's like you don't complain about it. You just don't buy it and you get the salad if you're not wanting it. So I think a lot of service providers are mistakenly thinking that the consumer will look at them bad if they were to offer the options that are premium. Honestly, it's only that way if your mentality is pushing the premium option. You don't got to push it. People will push themselves. It's like they're free to choose the one they want. Remember, not pushing them to it. Let them choose for themselves. And voluntary. When a customer makes a voluntary commitment like that, Danny, then they can never be talked out of it. Even if the neighbor comes over and says, how can you spend so much money? It's like, because I got this extra service, John, shut up. They're gonna tell the neighbor to shut up or whatever. You could have got it cheaper somewhere else. It's like, I didn't want it cheaper. I want it better, but by doing it better, now here's the kiss of death, Danny, doing it, being more expensive, but doing the same service that everybody else does. So you can't do the same service everybody else does and just to be more expensive. That's not going to work. Make sense? You got to do something above and beyond what they would do for people like that. Make
Go
sense?
a little bit deeper on that. Like, what does above and beyond look like? Is that more than going into experience, or is that just fantastic, out of this world service?
Well, if you literally name a service, I can tell you. Like for instance, I have a guy who does garage floor coating. He puts epoxy coating. There's a company in Chicago. It's pretty famous for that too. I can't think of the name of it, but they kind of work under the same guideline we talk about. So for instance, if you're going to do the coating on your garage floor, put epoxy coating on the garage floor. Well, just in case you didn't notice, you have a bunch of stuff in your garage that's got to get moved, right? You have the you got the car, you got all the bicycles, you got the camping gear and everything in the garage. You got every sporting duffel bag. You can do basketball duffel, baseball duffel. You got all these things in there, right? So normally they'd say, "Okay, Joe, you have to move everything out of your garage so we can coat your floor." So you're putting that burden onto the customer. That's not above and beyond. That's why
Mm.
that job is worth only 32. You're probably going to coat the garage floor for about 3,000 if you did that. Right now, if I said our crew will come in, take all of your stuff out of the garage and put it in a trailer of ours, and we will wash everything and wipe it down before we put it in the trailer, and then we will put the trailer in your front yard and the right on the street right in front of your home with our name and everything on it. That's going to be there for a couple days while we come in the next day, and we are going to do that garage floor coating, let it dry overnight, and then the third day we come back and put the stuff back in your garage. But we organize it for you. We do that, right? And look at the options for the garage company. You got the floor coating is the one. So first of all, let us move the stuff out of the garage and clean it and then put it back in. That's the first thing. Second thing, let me do the epoxy coating. Third thing, let me do slat wall so we can put the storage systems in your garage better. So the bikes can be on the wall, not on the floor, right? Let me put storage cabinets above the garage door so we can put other stuff, your duffels and stuff up there, not on the garage floor and things like that. Let me put storage cabinets on the sides as well. Does that make sense? Or so if you sell all that stuff, so the average company that does garage floor coating with my system averages about 16 to 18,000 per sale, because they go from 3,000 to 16,000 because you're not just selling the garage floor coating, you're selling the whole garage experience. Like, what am I going to do? Clean the put the floor in and put all that garbage back in the back in the
Yeah.
garage. You see, above and beyond is like, who's going to move all this stuff to get it done? Like, if I was a painter, I would say, we're going to put you in a hotel, would be above and beyond. We're going to come in and move all your furniture and put it in a trailer, so the furniture doesn't get damaged. We're gonna tape and paint and tape off your flooring and things like that. We're gonna go ahead and clean the carpets after we do the paint job on your walls. You know what I'm saying there? So these are things that you can do that go with the service that you provide. Uh, and the things that people have to do anyway, you're doing it for them, and that's above and beyond. Does that make sense? Like for
Okay.
you, I see like SEO companies. Hey, we need to hire. You need to hire a copywriter, or you need to fill out this form about the stuff that in your company. Instead, what would be the better way? I'm going to fly out to your business and I will audit your business and find out what's special about it so we can make the SEO perfect on your company. That would be above and beyond, as opposed to fill out a form or you just tell me what do you want on your website would be some crappy service from an SEO website builder. Me going to your company and then surprising you by coming up with something I saw in your business that you didn't even see, that would be better service. So if you got a web company that's making you do all the work, you got a shitty web company. If you got a company that's saying, let us come out there and visit your company and we'll do all the work, then you got the right. That's above and beyond. Make sense?
Definitely. Okay, so you have to go above and beyond, and you have to charge for above and beyond. And what I'm realizing here is that when you do this, then you don't have to even worry so much about like lead generation or customer acquisition, because your customers are worth way more. Like a $3,000 ticket versus a $15,000 ticket. I mean, now that's 5 times less customers that you have to go out and acquire. So now you don't have to worry too much about that. I'm also sure because you go above and beyond, because you have an amazing service, now you get more word of mouth, you get more referrals. Like this just seems like a whole compounding system.
Well, if you're the only one that's doing this, and so you might say to me, Joe, nobody in pest control does this. Well, that's not true. I have several people who are in pest control that use my services, and they are the most successful pest control people in their market. Like in Houston, Texas, I got people. I got people in Tampa, different places around the country where pest control is a huge business. Uh, I know a lot of pest control people. So if there is a lot of pest control people in that area, then your job is how can I be completely different than the other people? So if there's only two of us that are different, and there's 300 other people who are the same. Between you two and the 300 people have been rejected because there's too many of them that are the same, right? I can't tell which one of those to hire, but I've come to the top two, and now it's like which one of these two do I hire? That's much better odds when you're trying to sell something. Make sense?
Yeah. Well, it also seems like home services have become much more competitive. So you have to find something to separate yourself. And I had Dan Antonelli on the podcast a few months ago or so, and he said the same thing in regards to branding, that he will do an audit of the branding of the companies in the area. They want to make sure, okay, the top companies, maybe one is doing red, one's doing blue, one's doing green. Okay, let's make sure not to use those colors. Let's make sure that we're completely different from everyone else so that we stand apart, that we're not like everyone else. We don't have the same service stack, whatever, but something is unique about us, and that's what makes us attractive.
That's true. And Dan's a great friend of mine. And the thing he will do is sometimes the premium option will be to not just do a logo and a branding, but also to rename the company. Sometimes he's done several people where he thought the name sucked, and he said we could do better with the name. Let's pick a new name in transition. Then we have a second option, which is easier. use your old name, but then make it look better. Make sense? So he's got different options there. Some including the whole package, and some including just the branding alone. But some things are more difficult to do than others. So if you're looking for a complete change, and by the way, the branding of the company and the marketing of the company is kind of way you're promising the way the company is going to operate when you get into the house in a way by doing it that way. So the branding and the marketing are like the promise. But if you don't know what you're doing, like what we do, that's why us and Dan Antonelli get so along so well. We do things that are unique that Dan can put in his promise of the brand. So the brand can emphasize what we do, make a friend, call magic moments, pure mode of service, make the you get options or the call is free. If you get premium mid-range economy options, like that could be a talking point that the company has. And then the branding could match up with all that stuff. So the perfect combination, of course, both Dan and I would say that both of our businesses are more important than the other one. But honestly, neither one of us would be existing without the other,
Mm.
because you need to have a good brand. You need to have a good experience in the home, to have both of those things. Because if you have a good brand, but the experience sucks, it doesn't make a difference how good the brand is. If you know how to communicate, but your brand sucks, nobody's going to call you. Makes sense? So, both things are needed. Honestly, they're equally needed in equal parts.
Yeah, even just having you on this podcast here, I've really become aware of the symbiosis of the two, and really other parts of marketing as well. But obviously, branding and the pricing, sales, whatever you'd like to say, those are two huge components. And you and Dan are obviously both crushing it with your companies. So I think this is a good place to wrap up. I've got one final question for you, Joe, which is, what is your message to the average home service local business owner, or maybe that's even a technician or maybe a local marketer? But what is your general message to the audience? What do they need to know? What do you want to leave them off with?
Oh, that's a good question. But I would say, you know, don't stop learning and don't stop moving, because honestly things are changing. The only thing that is true is that nothing will stay the same. Everything is changing. So whatever you are doing now, you need to be already studying what the future is going to be, especially with AI. Like we have a thing called the option builder, giving those price options. We have an AI solution now that we developed for $99 per person, where you can just it makes the options for you. Just put all the services you do into it, and then you tell us the prices, and boom, it will make those premium, mid-range, and economy choices in 20 seconds, where it would have taken probably, half an hour to 45 minutes to make those options. Now you're getting it done in 20 seconds. Like if I took all of your services, Danny, and said, well, here's what we do, web, and then I took all that in, put it in there. So here it is, the premium VIP one. Here's the economy one, and it would come up with that, right? And it would be personalized and customized based on the way you put it in there. So I would just say changes are coming. The good news for anybody who's in business now is that there's never been a time in history where it will be more automatically automated, meaning that you don't have to try and do it yourself. There's going to be tools that are very low cost that allow you to automate this process. They couldn't have said that 5 years ago. Honestly, you'd have to do it all manually. So, because of AI solutions, I really feel like this is the best time in human history to be alive. Now, of course, I can't promise in the future that AI won't kill us all off the planet. Uh, I don't know that or not, but at this point, you use the tools that are here. Don't be in denial with AI. It's here and it's here to stay. It's not going to go back in the bottle. So you better use it while you can use it. And AI represents your future right now, regardless if you like it or not. Even if you hate it, you better embrace it, because it will either consume you or elevate your business.
Absolutely, I agree. So make sure that you're studying as much as possible, and in particular AI. Start learning about AI and start using AI. Okay, awesome. That was a great podcast. It was so great having you on, Joe. Where can people learn about you and your company and get in touch?
You just go to servicemvp.com. There you can get the free audiobook if you scroll down a little bit on the front page. We also have our $99 MVP book club where you can get the audiobook. And for $99 a month, you could come to a training every single week on Wednesdays at 12 noon Pacific. You could get free training from me for 90 minutes a week we do there. So and we're trying to build Service MVP Nation, Danny, and you're welcome to be part of our Service MVP Nation if you'd like to be. So, any clients you have that want to get training on how to get training on small things they could do to make their business more successful, I'm here to do that, and that's why I'm so honored to be here on this podcast, because I know that you spread the word with so many people in the pest control business and other businesses too. So, thanks for doing that, Danny. I appreciate the service you do as well.
Yeah, awesome. No, I'd love to join. And yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And then where can people connect with you on social media? Which platforms are you most active?
Facebook is right now our biggest one. We have a thing called, the coaching the growth business growth service the business. If you just look up Joe Crisara, look up my name, and it'll come up there, and you'll see we have a website that's not a website, but a group that we have that's got over 10,000 people in it that interact using our stuff there. So you can find that group we have, and then also on X or Twitter, I'm there, and then just look up Joe Crisara. Instagram, TikTok is we're huge on TikTok. We have tons of TikTok stuff. My little profound small things I do in 15 seconds, or like you could probably make about 20 TikToks from this.
Yeah. No, I
This
will.
thought, it's a lot of TikTok. So TikTok's, I love the micro. Actually, TikTok is maybe better because try and say more in a shorter period of time. As you can see, for me as a challenge, I try to usually go on too long, right? So
Yeah. No, I'm sure we'll get a lot of good clips from the show. So awesome. All of those links will be in the description. If anyone wants to check him out, make sure to go follow Joe across all platforms and check out his company if you're interested. This has been a great podcast, Joe. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, it's been a pleasure.
thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Of course.